Okay, right now we still have two of the last two methods to discuss, which are retain all and remove all. So retain all, let's see how it works. I have two sets already, which are called Disney and Cartoon. Okay, yeah. So let's put Disney dot retain all cartoon. And now I'm gonna print Disney. As expected, it printed Cinderella only, whereas my set initially had Cinderella, Rapunzel, and Elsa. So why? Because retain all, when you give it a collection, it just keeps what is common between that collection and itself and deletes all this part from the set. So this part initially had Rapunzel. We had Rapunzel here and we had Elsa. In the characters map. Uh, and then we have common Cinderella. Let me make it with another color. So here we have Cinderella. And Spider-Man and Ben 10 in the other collection. So what's common between my set and the collection is Cinderella, and therefore I delete everything from my set that's not common. So I delete everything in this area, and I'm left with this part over here. The collection, of course, is unaffected. So if I print cartoon, it's supposed to print the three items, which are Cinderella, Ben 10, and Spider-Man. So let's try it out. So it also worked exactly as expected. Now, when we discuss, however, the function remove all, it acts in a different way. Instead of keeping what's common and deleting everything that's not common, as the case in retain all, what happens is that it keeps it keeps what's not common and deletes what's common. So if I give it a collection, it could be a set, it could be an array list, it could be anything. If I give that to my set, it's gonna look at what's common and delete it and keep everything that's not common. But when could I use that? Suppose I'm keeping a set of the residents of a certain say neighborhood, and then I get an array list of people who I keep getting this on a monthly basis, an updated array of the people who have left this neighborhood. Um, so I compare what's common here between my collection, the people who left the neighborhood and people who are in the neighborhood. Okay, I realize they are actually left. I don't want the records anymore in my set of the people who live in the neighborhood. So I would use remove all, for example. So that could be certain application where we would use remove all. Um, in our example here, instead of retain all, let's put remove all. And I know that what's common is Cinderella, so I expect Cinderella to be removed from the Disney collection, and I'll be left with Rapunzel and Elsa. So let's run it. It worked exactly as expected. Okay, now let's have another example here. I'm gonna have a new set. And I'm gonna give it some names. So let's go with Diana, um, Robert, and one more name, say Casey. So I have four names, which is good till now. And let's print it out. Do you expect it to be printed out in alphabetical order? Probably not, because we used a hash set and not a hash map. So, not a map set, sorry. Not a hash, not a hash. Sorry, not a map set. Okay, not hash map. Hash map is different. So yeah, let's print it out. I don't expect it to be printed out in alphabetical order. I think we stored the name wrong. Okay, so it printed Diana, Jake, Robert, Casey, which is completely random because it didn't print in the order I gave it, and because Jake would have been before Diana, and it's JK, so the R here is before, so it doesn't store them in alphabetical order. Okay. Now I want to send out, I want to print out a list of Dr. Jake, Dr. Diana, Dr. Robert, Dr. Casey, etc. Suppose I want to print them out and then cut them off and post them on the envelope. So because I want to send invitation cards. So, okay, so I want to loop over all the doctors I have in this names set, and I'm gonna call them Dr. Jake, Dr. Diana, Dr. Robert, and then I'll post it. Okay, so I have to loop, right? And can I do for I equals 0 till I less than names.size? No, why not? Because a set doesn't have indices, so while this didn't give me an error, this will. I can't, for example, say system.out.print line names dot get index, for example. See, there's no such thing. So I have to do a for each loop, and therefore for string name and names, I'll print doctor plus the name. So let's see how this goes. Dr. Diana, Dr. Jake, Dr. Robert, Dr. Casey. So it did work out when I used the for each loop. So this is another thing to take into consideration, which is the for each loop.